see where this goes. This should be interesting.
Right,
Okay,
we
so
are recording.
yeah, we're recording on my end, and so
What's up,
recording on your
man?
end. All right. So I don't know. Thing is it's like we're recording this, and it's like I don't. It's like, do I want to publish this kind of deal?
Yeah.
I don't even really know. Um, so we'll just go where we'll just see where this conversation goes, and it's like maybe we I don't know, or maybe we'll publish it in 6 months after the fact. I don't know. Um, but yeah, no. So it's like I was in Vancouver for like 2 weeks, and it was just like, don't get me wrong, like I love Vancouver. It's actually a really cool city.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool to be in a city that's kind of like your home away from home, and actually be able to recognize
Right.
places and go, oh, I know where that is. Oh yeah, now okay, I know where I am and this and that. But it was like I was just like
Right.
just way too long, and I had a lot of stuff go on because I'm trying to like I'm at this critical point with being in Vancouver, and Victoria is just basically a ferry ride away,
Yeah.
and then Canada's done. And I mean, like the reality is like I do a lot of documenting. We do this like
Yeah.
the motivation, the reason we do all this stuff in many ways is to grow an audience kind of deal. Like that's just, I mean, it would be kind of nice to say that, oh yeah, we don't care about growing. I mean, in a way I don't like, it's just, I don't want the wrong people to follow this ride. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's just pointless. Like that's where the trolls come in and the negative nonsense. And so it's like, yeah, I don't want the audience. I'd rather a small engaged audience than this massive audience that actually doesn't really care
Yeah.
kind of deal. But
Yep.
if there's a way to reach out to like a larger audience that actually does care, well then it's like, yeah, I want to grow, you know and because potentially, it's there's potential possibilities, doors may open as a result. I mean, the reality is I'm a 47-year-old unemployed truck driver living on a bicycle. Someday this ride is going to end, and it's not like, well, I'll put a request out for everyone to donate to pay for me for the rest of my life kind of thing. They're going to say, go get a job.
Yeah.
It's like, well, in a way, this is my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, anyways, so yeah, so it's like uh, about a week and a half ago, like I reached out to try to like find a public relations person
Mm-hmm.
to help grow the audience. Um, and so, it's just, yeah, it's been a little bit of a head trip, um,
Yeah. I was
of
wondering how
just
that went.
what's that?
I was wondering how that call went. And
Yeah, well, it was kind of interesting. Actually, I'm just going to turn up my volume just for a little, for just a little bit
am I
low.
too quiet?
No, yeah, well, it's just my volume
Oh, okay.
like generally as a rule, because it's very irritating when people work on their computers and it beeps and all this and that because they've got their volume on.
Yeah.
It's like so I always keep my volume usually muted or very, very low
Yeah.
after the fact. Um, and so, yeah, no, well, okay, so yeah, it actually went like, so we had a conversation, like, yeah, this guy, I reached out first I reached out on freelancer.com,
Yeah.
and I had a guy respond, and like 3/4 to the conversation, he just disappeared. It's like, okay. And then I went to upwork.com and I set up the profile. And about a half hour later, they send me this really nasty email that I'm in violation of all their terms and conditions, and my account's been deleted or not deleted. I don't know, just and don't expect a return email from any emails I send them. And I was like I just followed their format.
Yeah.
And so I did email them. I'm like, okay, can someone please explain this email? Because all I did was follow your format, your
Yeah.
page layout, and then hit okay, at the end kind of deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, you need to validate your identity. And it's like, that's not what the email said.
Oh.
Like yeah. So I just had to send a passport photo and something with an address on it.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and they're like, okay, your account's in good standing. And so it's like, normally it's like whatever. So I did respond. It's like, okay, well, thanks for fixing this, but like, I've never been treated so
Yeah.
horribly and unprofessionally and rudely by a company in my entire life. Like, all you
Yeah.
had to do was send an email to say everything's great, just please validate who you are, and
Yeah.
your account will go live.
No kidding.
You know what I mean? But whatever. So it was just, but then thing is the next day I got a response, and it's like 60 to 70% of his portfolio
Yeah.
was all bike related. I was like, holy crap.
Gee.
Like, yeah, like that's crazy. So, um, and I'm going to sort of go on a side thing. Then I reach out to another guy that I knew about, because I'm thinking like, because I like on my website, I actually have like a t-shirt line,
Yeah.
but it's through print on demand and it's very, very expensive. It's like $50 and like like retail. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like only like a $10 profit on it. And then like, I've actually had some people do a sample order and they're like, so it's like, so what's the quality like for $50? And
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. And it's like,
Not convincing.
for $50, I want to hear it's awesome,
Yeah.
not this hesitant, you know, but I think it'd be kind of cool to have a t-shirt line. And I actually have a design.
Yeah.
And so I reach out to this guy about that I knew from, and I said, like, how do you feel about trying to build a brand, Safari Arie brand t-shirt line?
Yeah.
And he's like all excited.
Hmm.
So, and then it was like after I have a conversation with him, then I have this conversation with the PR guy,
Yeah.
and he's like totally excited. Like he's more a competitive bike racer,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he totally respects what I'm doing, and he's excited. So we have this great conversation, and he's like, yeah. Like there's some real potential here, and you got a great story, and all this and that. And so, okay, so I kind of leave everything for a day or two for things to kind of, to settle, whatever, let people figure out what they want to do, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I hear nothing from nobody.
Hmm.
And it's like, but the thing is then in the meantime, or yeah, no, so now I'm like in my second week in Vancouver, and it's like, I'm not hearing from anybody. Um, and like, I'm getting very frustrated very quickly kind of deal. And it's like kind of in a little bit of a pissy mood. Like, it's like, that's kind of why I didn't actually like even reach out for a show. Cause it's like, I'm too pissy about anything. Like, I just don't want to even deal with people. Cause it's like, don't everyone tell me that, cause this is the thing is I've had people, I had one guy back in the summer reach out, like, why aren't you doing a charity ride? And so we had a conversation, because he was not that I was going to do a charity ride, but he was going to help me build my audience. And so we have this great conversation, and then I hear nothing. And then, you know what I mean? And then I have this guy that's like a mentor, and like, long story short, we're talking about doing a book where he's going to co-author. And I set everything up for him to interview people from my past and interview people from on the ride. And then I get this email that, he's come to this conclusion that I'm this rotten person or bad person and wants nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? And so, and that all happened literally. Both those conversations actually happened where they were excited about doing something on the same day. And then here I'm in Vancouver trying to get some things going, and people are like super excited about, like this, okay, like, and then it's like nothing. And it's like really, and so, and then at the same time, I'm sort of stuck here not stuck here in Vancouver, but, and it's just like, like I was just like bummed. So, because the thing is so then I started reaching out to the guy about t-shirts, like, and I sent him some messages on Messenger, and you can see like he didn't read the messages, and I put messages on his timeline, and he didn't respond to that, and I even audio called him, and nothing. And then it's like, and I'm waiting, and this PR guy, it's like, I'm really bummed about that, because it's like I said, 60-70% of his portfolio was bike related. It's like, anyway, so I thought, so the day I left Vancouver to catch the ferry, I thought, well, I'm going to because I didn't really message him. So I'm going to message him and just say, hey, like, I haven't heard from you in a few days. Like, that's the thing, is like, you're a PR guy, like, communication is your job. You know what I mean? So I message him, and he replied. And he's like, and you'll love this. You're going to love this story. Like, you specifically. He's like, this is your email address, right? You did get my email, right? Does that sound familiar?
A little bit. Should we bet?
Yeah.
Should I tell that story?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So when I first met Ari, I'm actually friends with his brother, and his brother's the one that introduced us. And his brother's like, "Oh yeah, you should send Ari a message because you're really good with video." So I chatted back and forth with him on Facebook, and Ari was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Put a little plan together and email it to me." So that's what I did. I emailed it, and then week one went by. What? How many weeks was it? Was it 2 weeks?
I don't think it was quite 2 weeks because I think like it was a week at least for sure. I mean, actually, could have been. You know what? It could have been. I mean,
If
it was back in March. I think I was in Kingston.
well, anything over a day is pretty long.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. No, well, yeah. In many ways, you're right.
but then after just no replies from either of us, his brother reached out to me and said, "Hey, how'd your thing go with my brother?" I said, "I don't know. He's ignoring me." He's like, "I don't think that's right." So he's like, he came back with me. Oh yeah, sure enough, Ari actually didn't get your email.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. Because yeah. Because I thought you never sent anything, and it's like I wasn't going to chase you because it's like I've
yeah,
had enough of people offering this and offering that, and yeah, I didn't get your email. Um, and so it was the same deal with this guy. It's like he's like, "This is your email address." It's like yes, and he had a proposal PDF.
oh, did he?
He actually sent it like in the message of like, "This is your email, right? This is the
Yeah,
proposal I sent you." I was like, "Oh," and it was funny because that was the crazy thing is it's like the last couple days in Vancouver were just because the other thing is I have this friend in Vancouver
yeah,
and like we go way back. But basically, long story short, when I came to Vancouver a few years ago, I was going to visit him and the friend I visited in Langley. But this friend all of a sudden stopped taking my phone calls,
hmm.
and it was kind of a it was like really kind of pissed me off and frustrated me, but it's like whatever. And then finally, a few years later, he reached out. And the thing was, is it's like it's a private story, but it's like I kind of knew what his situation was already. Like so,
Yeah,
it's like you didn't have to be embarrassed or ashamed about the situation because I already knew. Like we've already, me and him had already talked.
hmm,
When I lived here for 8 months, I went to his, I went to his home with his family and I had dinner every Sunday evening. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, so all of a sudden, like 3 years later after I've left Vancouver, like, dude, you don't have to like hide your whatever. And so, but the thing was, is it's like, so he had sort of been following the ride, reaching out every once in a while via email. And so it's like the last time he emailed, I was only like 400 kilometers out of Vancouver. And I kind of wondered if he was going to reach out. And I just kind of responded like getting to Vancouver shortly,
yeah,
thinking like, okay, so are you going to like ignore me again or are you
yeah,
going to reach out kind of deal?
yeah,
And anyways, I was in Vancouver for 2 weeks and nothing. And I was just like, really, dude? Like, I mean, can't we just, like he's a good guy. Like I like him. I like spending time with him. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like just, and so I was also bummed out about that, like just the whole people
yeah,
aspect of my life kind of deal. And anyways, I left. So two mornings ago, I wake up, I send the PR guy a message and he replies. I was like, oh, thank goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness. And I was actually able to connect with this guy. It was funny. I mentioned this guy. I think I did on the regular show. This guy had reached out on Instagram uh, at a bike shop in Vancouver. And
yeah,
like I had actually gone there like twice. Like I went there once because he just gave me his Insta. Like all I had was his Instagram name, right? So I pedaled up and I said I'm looking for so and so, and they're like, oh, he's not in till tomorrow.
yeah,
It's like okay, cool, whatever. So I come in the next day, which was like 10 kilometers away,
yeah,
and they're like, well, he's not in till tomorrow. And I'm like, I just came here yesterday and you told me he wasn't, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like so it was just like, you know what I mean? It's just like trying to reach people, you know what I mean? Like all I'm trying to do is just, you know what I mean? Like, but anyways, he had like, so anyways, later that day he messaged and he said, oh yeah, they tell me you've been coming looking for me kind of deal.
yeah,
And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, so anyways, he had a very legitimate reason why he was actually like, I mean, he probably was scheduled like those days, but
yeah,
he had a legitimate reason why but anyway, so he's like, I'll be there Wednesday kind of
Yeah.
deal. So it's cool. I mean, it's like I said, it was just, but it was just like, it was just kind of
Thing
piling
after
up,
another.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I wake up Wednesday morning. I message the PR guy. He responds. Oh my goodness. I leave the hostel. I stop by this bike shop. I meet Buddy, and he's actually able to help me, like, because I'm gonna have to fly to Seattle. Well, I'm thinking like, how am I gonna get a bike box when like nobody has bikes? Like usually at a bike shop, they sell a few, they build a few, they sell a few, they build a few. But bike shops, since this COVID thing, nobody could basically get bikes. They, like the one bike shop I went to in the city when I first arrived, they actually had a sign on their door that said they had no bikes under $2,000.
Wow.
Even pedals, like bike pedals, like my bike pedals are kind of worn out,
Mm.
and they're like the cheapest bike pedals we have are $160. It's like not a chance. Like
No.
$20, okay. $160, not a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the thing is like, well, how am I going to get a bike box in this city when nobody has bikes? And this is a bike city. But anyways, I had a conversation with him, and he's like, oh yeah, no, we actually just got 300 bikes in just like yesterday kind of deal. So we'll have tons of bike boxes. It's like, okay, so,
Yeah.
and he can help me pack it kind of deal. And also one thing I couldn't get fixed at the other bike shop was my small front ring. And he had a look at it, and he's like, oh yeah, I got 2 of those in the back. So when you come back from Vancouver Island, yeah, we can fix that, no problem kind of deal. So it's like all of a sudden all those problems got solved.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I walk out of the bike shop, there's an email from my buddy. He's like, are you in Vancouver? It's like, dude, I've been here for 2 weeks. Like, why didn't you reach out? He's like, oh, you went faster than I thought. And it's like, all right, whatever. But it was just like, I literally walk out of the bike shop and
Yeah.
check my phone, because it's like, now I got to orient myself to the ferry terminal from downtown Vancouver. And there's an email from buddy. He's like, you in Vancouver? It's like, dude, I've been here for 2 weeks. Like, really?
Yeah.
So anyways, so it looks like I'll probably connect with him when I get back to the mainland.
Cool.
But yeah, it was just like, I gotta be honest, like when like those days, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like just bummed, like just bummed. And it's just like, because the thing is, I'm not a people person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing is it's like, I'm not a people person. And historically, most of my life, like I've never really relied on anybody for anything in this sense, because I just figured out, like, that's the thing is I'm not the smartest guy. Like there's a lot of things I don't know how to do, but the stuff that I needed to do in life, I could actually figure out. And so I just did it. I didn't rely on anybody for anything.
Yeah.
Because I just, you work your 14 hours a day and you get it done. But
Yeah.
then this bike ride is so much different, in the sense that it's about people and it's about interacting and connecting with people.
Yeah.
And the thing is I have these dreams and ambitions after the ride. Like, I mean, a lot of people know, but most people actually don't know about, I'd love to, like, my legacy plan in life is to plant trees, or have planted trees. And, I've got it on my website to plant or have planted 1 million trees. And I'd actually like to turn that M into a B kind of deal. Well, in order to plant 1 billion trees, you need a network of people supporting you, kind of deal. And so it's like, okay, I need this network of people. But like, people just keep letting me down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but this is the thing is it's like, as far as life is concerned, I know I can get through life on my own. Like, they talk about how, like, we need people in our lives. And it's like, it is, to a certain extent, yes, obviously we do need certain people. We do need, like, in our lives.
Yeah.
But the thing is the truth of the matter is I can actually pretty much get through the rest of my life with nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know at the end of the day, there's basically only one person I can count on, and that's me.
Yeah.
But the thing is I'm trying not to live that way. And like, I'm trying to look at a bigger vision of, what is possible.
Yeah.
And that requires people. But it's just this whole, just being like let down
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over again. I'm actually just going to turn a light on for a second. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It might just go flash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's not
That's
very
better.
cool.
Way better.
Is it better? Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
it's
And it's
uh,
funny, like what you're saying about this. Like, I think it's because like a lot of people don't even know these things about themselves. Like, they don't realize that they're ones to make promises and not to follow through. So, like, even us just talking about this, I bet this is a bit enlightening for some people. Like I know for me, like right now, I'm kind of checking myself. Like, do I do that? You know what I mean?
what do you
So,
mean? Do you do what?
like, am I the type of person that can be relied upon? Like,
Mhm.
and I think it's just really healthy for people to always check themselves and always to make sure that they're not the ones doing this.
Yeah, because
It's
I
something
think
that nobody talks about.
yeah, no, because I think like the thing is you can't be everything to everybody, but
No,
um,
you
like
can be more than for yourself, right? It's
yeah.
probably the selfish Western world mentality.
Hmm. See, for me, it's so important to be mindful of what I say to people in the
Yeah.
sense of just, and don't get me wrong, like, and that's actually the funny thing is like I was getting pretty frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm usually very quick, like to, I don't know if I necessarily say snap, but um, my biggest weakness when I'm getting frustrated is usually, unfortunately, it's kind of that same crowd of kind of the retail employee that kind
Mm-hmm.
of gets the brunt of it. Because
Yeah.
the one thing I absolutely hate, I hate with a passion, is when I'm told no. Now, I don't say that of self entitlement,
Yeah.
but when you walk into a business of whatever type, whether it's a restaurant or whatever, and they say no,
Yeah.
like I was self employed, okay?
Yeah.
And it's not about the customer is always right, but
Mm-hmm.
there is always an equal ground, a compromise where the customer walks away happy and the business walks away happy. So
Yeah.
when a customer comes to you and say, this is what I want, or this, it's like you don't say no. You say, okay, what we can offer, or will this work? Or
Yeah.
we have it, the problem with that is this, but what we can do is this, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so like you just like I said, it's not self-entitlement. It's
Yeah.
just a business is there to earn a profit and to
Mm-hmm.
serve its customers.
Mm-hmm.
Saying no does not accomplish that.
Yeah.
And so when I walk into a business and they say no,
Mm.
oh, I get like I said, because I come from a self-employed, it's like you never say no to your customer. You figure out how to make them happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway,
Yeah.
so the thing is when I get frustrated, usually the person on the other end that kind of gets the brunt of it is the retail employee that says no.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me. But the thing is what I'm saying though, what I'm trying to say is I actually did not lose my patience on anybody,
Yeah.
which was actually I was kind of impressed with that. It's like, yeah, I didn't lose my patience with anybody, but inside it's like, I'm just, I'm getting pissed. And
Yeah.
that's why it's like when I woke up Wednesday, it was pouring rain and
Yeah.
I didn't care. I showed up at that ferry completely soaked and
Yeah.
I didn't care. I didn't care because I was just back on the road
Yeah.
kind of deal. Um, but yeah, I
It's
mean,
it's tricky, like what you're saying, like you're resisting the urge to be frustrated, even though it feels like you have the right to. And
mhm.
that takes a lot of, self control and strength to do
Yeah,
that. It's so
because
unnatural.
it's, well, yeah, because it's funny because there is an aspect where it's like, and I'm actually, um, and I can't really articulate the context very well, but I'm assuming you've heard of the book The Shack.
Yeah.
And anyways, the father of the murdered daughter
Hmm.
talks about his rights,
Yeah.
and then God in the shack says, "Yeah, but you have no rights."
Yeah.
Like, well, don't I have a right to feel this or whatever against the person that murdered my daughter? And it's like,
Yeah.
no. Well, didn't my daughter have the right to? It's like, no, like you have no rights.
Mm.
And the truth of the matter is you actually kind of have to accept that
Yeah.
in many ways. Like, I'm not talking about like, does a human like it's I because it's obviously a very tricky tricky place or ground to cover, but it's like, because in one sense, like, as human beings, we have a like we have a right to clean water
Yeah.
from our government, or you know what I mean, like, you know what I mean, but it's like
Right.
there is an aspect where it's like, yes, we have like these rights as human beings,
Citizens. Yeah.
among, yes, as citizens, maybe that's a better way of putting it. We have
Yeah.
these rights as citizens, but then as human beings, it's like we actually have no rights.
No.
Like, at least like, am I that mistake? Like, yeah, as citizens we have rights,
Mm-hmm.
but as human beings we actually have no rights.
No. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
That's
Like,
yeah. That's perfect.
um and so it's just sort of being like mindful of, because we do we and it's a human nature to feel entitled, to feel we
Yeah.
deserve, we've earned,
Yeah.
but we actually have, like let that sink in for a minute, we actually have no rights.
Yeah. Especially as.
Because if we do have rights,
Mm-hmm.
the reality is, and it's funny because this was also sort of talked about in the book, like, the reality is if I have rights and you have rights,
Yeah.
they are guaranteed to clash.
Yep.
So either we are going to clash, which we do with every human we meet, which we
Yeah.
do, or we have no rights,
Yeah.
and then therefore we don't end up like, you know what I mean, like, then if we have no rights, then, well, we can't clash, can we?
No. Hmm.
And then when you look at all the arguments and the broken relationships and the failed relationships, whether
Yeah.
that's romantic or friendship, whatever, the friendships, like most all that breaks down, most all that is destroyed because our sense of our rights.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. It's this desire to be kind of our own God in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
where it's
Well,
like,
yes, no, exactly, it is. Yes.
well,
um,
I guess it's different for Christians. Like we believe that man is fallen, that
mm,
we like there's no one that hasn't fallen short of God's glory. Like we all have, lusted after women. That's adultery in God's eyes. Like we've all lied at least once. Like I probably lied millions of times in my life. So
mm-hmm.
right there, I'm a liar, a thief. So it's really a matter, I think, of not making a standard for ourselves, but measuring ourselves to God's standard, which is perfection. As long as we're under that, we'll always see that we don't have rights, like you're saying.
Yeah. But you mentioned God way too much in this
Sorry,
episode, so
we'll cut
I'll
that.
just cut. It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be about that. But anyways, no, it's yeah.
But
So
you
anyways,
know what I mean, though, right?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's so anyways, so it was a pretty challenging week, um, trying to process that. Um, thing is though, is in many ways it's like, I don't know if, like, I wonder, it's like, did I even process it properly? Because in many ways, most everything kind of worked out.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't like, but I did, I like it. I do feel confident that I went through the week without getting angry at anyone because of
that's good.
what I was dealing with internally.
Yeah,
I was able to check myself, um, at the door kind of deal.
yeah,
And so I'm actually kind of pleased about that fact
that's good.
yeah, believe it or not, actually, I don't get upset very quickly, because I do try to be mindful of these are things I think, like, everything we've talked about, these are things I think about on a regular basis.
Yeah,
So I'm pretty mindful of this kind of stuff, but at the same time, like I said, usually my triggers like retail, um, employees,
yeah,
telling me no, and it and it usually catches me kind of off guard because it's just, I would never say no to a client.
yeah,
And so when you hear that no, it's just like that instant trigger, and it's like,
yeah,
well, then you respond instantly, and um, kind of deal. So uh, yeah. So, anyways, like I said, I'm kind of pleased that I.
yeah. That's one thing I've obviously noticed about you. You're very entrepreneurial spirit, and I think
Oh yeah, yeah.
so many people don't have that, where they're
Right.
they're reliant upon a boss, right? Where they're not
Yeah.
having to fend for themselves. So there's no
Yes.
accountability there. So
Yeah.
like
Everything I kind of think about it kind of gets filtered through an entrepreneurial lens.
I know for me, like obviously because my own boss working here, but I really hate waiting on someone to do the next step because like
Sure.
I'm always
Oh
like
yeah.
6 or 7 steps ahead, and when
Hmm.
step two is on pause, it drives me crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, because I'm that guy that's 5 minutes early.
Yeah,
You know, there's the people, there's those guys that are 5-10 minutes late for dinner, and there's the guys that are 5 minutes early, and that's me. I'm there 5 minutes early
yeah,
because I said I'd be there at this time, kind of deal.
yeah.
Um,
No,
but
good stuff. That's a good
yeah,
topic to talk about.